Hello YouTube, we are now in week 3 of making videos. This is going to be my 4th video. In the coming weeks, I'm going to try to ramp up and potentially make 2 videos per week. But yeah, we're starting off pretty good here. So today we're going to be reviewing some of the humble grails that built my business in 2025. This is going to be mainly singles and graded cards. These cards mainly came from local game stores, card shows, and then Facebook Marketplace deals. I really enjoy going to local game stores, checking out their graded and single sections, and looking for areas where I can potentially arbitrage their old prices and make deals in that way. In 2026, this might not be the most sustainable method, as it's hard to go to multiple game stores and evaluate prices of certain cards. It is a slow process and it is not a reliable source of inventory, but it's definitely fun. In 2026, I'm going to focus more on buying larger collections, focus on my bulk business, and also selling sealed on my personal website. Talking about my personal website, it is actually currently live. Do note that I'm currently developing the website by myself. I'm coding the entire back end. I'm trying to learn HTML, Java, and some Python to try and make this website function. It's not the prettiest thing in the world. Doesn't have any fancy graphics yet, but it does work and we have some products live on there today. We have a couple graded cards on there and then a handful of different single packs, Charizard UPCs, and some other fun items on there. So go ahead and check that out in the description. Is jaronhavtcg.com. So in 2025, I did not have much of a focus on single cards. I do think it is kind of hard sometimes to evaluate condition, find valuable cards that are worth selling as single cards. I prefer picking up graded cards that have clear value, they're authentic, you know their condition, and there's no debating with buyers on Facebook or eBay based on condition. This year I've been buying more single cards and I really have been enjoying that development. So on screen now is a handful of notable singles that I got to handle and sell in the year of 2025. In 2025, I wasn't the biggest fan of dealing and selling singles, mainly because I wasn't super confident in conditioning and evaluating single cards. Also, most of my deals were done through Facebook Marketplace, so it was always a fun time debating and discussing with potential sellers the value and condition of their cards. This year, I'm trying to focus on unique and rare holos. No matter what condition they are in, I've been finding a lot of rare damaged cards, paying really low for them, then selling them on eBay. It's been fun in that way, but these are gonna be hard to see with reflections. But I got some just fun holos here. Delta Species, some vintage holos, and a whole lot of e-readers. Also like finding some of these unique holos. This is really hard to see. I just had a light down here. Also some of these unique holos like the McDonald's stamp, GameStop stamped, and then a whole lot of e-readers. Some of the specific cards I really enjoyed this year was the Espeon from Neo Discovery, the Tag Team Gengar Mimikyu, the Pikachu GX, Misty's Tears Band artwork, and then the Latios EX from Surging Sparks. Again, these are the humble grails that built my business in 2025. So here is a brief display of some of the lower end slabs I got to deal with. There was a period in 2025 where I was buying a lot of cards and gambling on whatnot. I'd go on large streams and bid the minimum bid of often $15 on a lot of CGC 10 slabs. And then when the payment would go through on these popular cards, I could often make money on them. Also, a lot of these cards were found at local game stores where I'd research the recent sale. And if they were significantly below, I would purchase them and resell them on eBay or Facebook. The EX cards from Breakpoint have been blowing up in recent years, and I was able to find this at a local game store for only $190, and I was able to sell it on Facebook Marketplace for $230. That is approximately a 21% return. I believe this one I sold very quickly, within, I believe, 4 days. Beautiful card. Wish I held on to it. It is worth significantly more now. Sabrina's Gengar. I did find this at a local game store as well. It was marked for around $220, which was significantly below market, so I picked it up and quickly flipped it on eBay. Bought this one after taxes for $228, sold after fees for $300. I made 32%. This is a unique card that I probably overpaid for, trying to support a smaller local game store, and I thought the card had a kind of cool story. This card is actually only a population 4. This is one of the lowest population cards I have ever owned. But the reason it is a low population is because it is a vintage Japanese card that is not very desirable. It's non-holo, it's Japanese, it's not the greatest art for Arbok, but it was population 4, so I was excited to pick it up. This one I held on to for a long time, ended up making $1. Found this Flareon at a local game store for around $80, which was slightly below market at the time. Picked it up just to increase my inventory, held it for a couple weeks, ended up only selling it for a $2 profit. Not the greatest buy, but it was still cool. This Mewtwo Level X, I debated back and forth for a while with the store owner because there are very few or no CGC 10 comps at the time, but the PSA 10 comps were significantly higher than his asking price. Again, this was not a good purchase. This card took forever to sell, and I ended up letting it go for a $1 profit. But it was another unique card with very low population. I believe the population was below 10, and the PSA 10s were significantly more valuable. So I thought it had a good chance. Not a good buy, made $1. Next up, we have the Japanese Mew EX from the 151 promos. This was a beautiful card. I picked it up for a good price. I picked it up for $130 at the time. Had it listed for, I believe, $160, but one of my good friends reached out saying he was super interested in the card, so I let it go for quite a bit lower price. I sold it for $140 and only made 8%, but that was for a good friend. This was a super unique card that I ran into, again, at a local game store. This is a PSA 2, which is often not very desirable, but this card in high grades was extremely valuable. So I wanted to pick it up because it was a super unique and cool card. Picked it up for $80 and sold it very quickly for $120 after fees on eBay. Made a quick 51% on this card. This was one of my bigger returns and better buys that I've made over the last year. Misty's Gyarados, first edition. I purchased this card for $159 and sold it within a couple weeks for $260. The return on that is 64%. Here we have a Delta Species Espeon in a PSA 9. This is one of the favorite cards I got to buy and handle this year, and I will forever regret selling this card. One of my favorite arts for Espeon. Love Delta Species. Beautiful. It would go perfect with the Delta Species Umbreon I'm working on picking up right now. I bought this one for $120 and sold it on eBay very fast for $179. That is a profit of 49% after fees. I then picked up this Charmander and Charmeleon combo. The Charmeleon sadly was in a PSA 9, so it did not sell for nearly as much. The Charmander sold very fast on eBay. Picked it up for $187, and it sold, I believe, in a day or two for $274 after fees. That is a 57% return. This card was actually an amazing lesson for me. Even though it sold very quickly on eBay, it came with a ton of headaches. This card got sold to an international buyer in Europe. This buyer was very nice, very kind, understood that it was going to take forever for it to show up, but there were so many headaches with shipping. At this time, my account was not registered in the eBay International Shipping Program. So when I shipped internationally, it was just a headache if anything went wrong. This card got lost somewhere in customs while bouncing around different countries in Europe, and it never got found, never got delivered. Feel super bad for the buyer. It was a really cool card. She was super excited about it, but it got lost in customs. eBay, after much discussion, eventually refunded the buyer for me and did not cost me anything. Even after that headache, this was still an amazing quick flip. Next card is this PSA 9 Charizard 20th anniversary. This card was just beautiful, got it for a great price, wanted to build some more presence on eBay and social media, so I thought it looked good for that. This one was not the best purchase for me. Purchased it a little high and held on to it for a few weeks. But after a little while, I was able to sell it for an 11% profit. Picked this one up for $134, sold it for $148. Next up, we have a PSA 10 Dark Sylveon. Picked this card up for only $94 at the time and sold it within a week for $170. That was a quick 54% profit on that card. And then there's this PSA 7 Dark Blastoise. This card I actually picked up as sort of like a bounty for one of my buyers. He told me he'd been looking for this card to add to his collection for a while, and he said if I ever find it, send him a picture and he'll buy it. So this one I did not make nearly as much money as normal, but picked it up for $116, sold it for $125 same day. That is 8%. Another card from Breakpoint, we have this PSA 9 Espeon EX. This card was an amazing buy, found at a local game store again, and bought it for $131 and sold it very quickly for $157. That is quick 20%. This Lapras is actually one of those cards that I found on Whatnot. I was watching a stream, this came up, and I was able to quickly look up market price and found that at the time market price was $80 to $90. I then was able to bid on it and get it for an amazing price of $47. Sold it in a couple weeks for $80 and made 57%. And then finally, the biggest card I have ever owned or dealt with, the Shining Magikarp in a PSA 8. This card is incredible. This card is beautiful. I would have loved to hold on to it, but I could not justify having that much money in my personal collection. I was able to negotiate with the shop owner because I knew it had been sitting in inventory for a couple months. And then this card was another big lesson for me. I bought this card near the end of the year for $552, which was slightly below market at the time. I wanted to have a quick flip. I wanted to build some credibility. I wanted to be known for maybe having a little more bigger cards in inventory. So some of it was purely for brand building. So I knew I wouldn't make the biggest profit. But as soon as I bought it the next day, there was a sale for under what I bought it for. And then in the coming weeks, it continued to fall, eventually ending up under $500 market price. I held onto this card for a few weeks, hoping market price would bounce back up, having very little interest at my asking price because it was quite a bit too high. And I was getting kind of worried with it. But then one of my consistent buyers reached out saying he really wanted this card. So he ended up picking up approximately $1,000 of product from me, and this was one of those items. I was able to work this into the deal where I was able to be slightly profitable with the whole deal, where I could roll some of that into this card and make it worthwhile. So with that lesson and with selling this to a friend or consistent buyer, I only made 3% on the card. But at least I was able to hold on to it and get some experience with this higher end card, and then also be able to make some posts about it on social media. This card, definitely the coolest card I was able to work with in the year of 2025. So with this video, I just wanted to go over some of the humble and realistic Grail cards that you might be working with when starting off your business. None of these cards are super flashy. None of these cards are the cards you see on social media where everyone's talking about all the crazy expensive, multiple $1,000 cards. This is not goated pulls. This is not deep pocket monster. This is the stuff that builds businesses. These are the small cards and consistent sales that will help build your business. Thank you for watching today's video. And again, my website is now live. You may run into some issues. It's not the most pretty thing in the world, but I'm coding it myself and I think it looks great for now. So we have some sealed cards here. Go ahead and check them out, pick them up, shoot me a message on Instagram if you have any issues or want to give any offers or anything, let me know. Here's the website as of now. Go ahead and check it out in the description, jaronhavtcg.com. Taking inspiration from It's Phantom TCG, want to go over some of my sales over the last week. Here's just a handful of sales that I've shipped out in the last couple days. Sold a Delta Species Reverse Holo Vaporeon. Sold the promo from the UPC I opened. Sold a Holo Mag Cargo in Japanese. Sold a damaged platinum stamped Garatina. Delta Species Electakid, and then some other random cards there. Also off of eBay, I ended up selling this inverted back Mew Delta Species. Beautiful card, has the inverted back error. Sold that card for around $400. And then sold this PSA 1 Dark Blastoise as well. Those are some of the notable sales. Also did approximately $70 of sales on TCG Player. It was a pretty good week on TCG Player, had some more expensive Magic cards that I was able to sell through as well. I am now working on listing 151 Holo Bulk, have a decent stack of reverse holos and holos I'd like to go through and list probably tonight. And then I have multiple stacks of just Scarlet and Violet Bulk. Also working on listing some vintage and e-reader commons on eBay. So that's the plan for the week. Get this video out, get these cards listed, and keep it going. Thank you for watching. Go ahead and like and subscribe. Go ahead and check out my website, jaronhavtcg.com. It is up and running. We have some sealed product ready to be bought today. Let me know if you run into any issues. You can go ahead and shoot me a message on Instagram that is linked here on the site. And yeah, thank you for watching.